How surprised are you by this?
Not really surprised, Wilfred. And by the way, thank you for having me on. So, Elliott Management, which took an investment or made an investment in the company almost 2 years ago and became board members, already asked for it. They were not too keen on having Dorsey be CEO of two publicly traded companies. And the performance since the last 2 years, has been okay. The stock is up, but certainly trailed all the peers, whether it's Facebook or Snap or Alphabet or Trade Desk, et cetera. So not totally surprised. And then looking back at the performance since IPO, I would say this is one of the worst performers, honestly, in our coverage universe, considering that for the last 8 years, nobody really made money other than the employees, whereas Facebook's an eight-time bagger, Trade Desk is a 50-time bagger, et cetera. So it's the performance kind of called for it.
And is Agrawal the right choice?
That's a $64,000 question, honestly. We don't know. In fact, this new CEO is not a known entity to the street. Typically, we've certainly had access to the CFO and the CEO, but as a CTO, typically he didn't really get a lot of airtime with investors, or at least with sell-siders. So he's got everything to prove, and hiring somebody from the inside tells you that, management and the board are trying to keep some continuity. It'll be interesting to see whether that's ultimately what's needed here or not.
What is the problem with Twitter? It's very odd, the disconnect, because we use it constantly in the news business. We see politicians and everyone who is an influencer in the world use it. People make news on it. Why do they have such a problem with engagement and user growth and monetization?
Well, I mean, you said it. It is about user growth. When this thing came public, everybody was looking at Facebook as kind of the company to emulate. And, and Facebook today is sitting at, 3 billion users across their entire portfolio of companies. And these guys are still at less than 200 million users worldwide. So that's on the users and engagement. On the engagement side, by the way, looking at third-party data will tell you that the average user spends a few minutes on the platform versus a half hour to an hour on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. And that speaks to the product. That speaks to the level of engagement that these products kind of warrant. And it just tells you that up until now, this company really has failed to come up with that silver bullet product that gets people so excited as to engage with it more than just those 2 or 3 minutes during the day while you're on the train checking the news, et cetera. And advertisers respond with, to that first and foremost.
So that raises the question. I mean, how much does changing the CEO make a difference?
Well, look, I think the fact that they hired the CTO to become the CEO tells you everything you want to know, right? I mean, it's all about the technology. It's all about the product. And unless, and instead of hiring or trying to get the CMO to move up or the CFO, I think this was the right move. Again, the new CEO still has a lot to prove. The other way they could have gone is to go and hire a big hitter from outside, but I think that would have kind of potentially destabilized the platform short term. I don't know. It may have been ultimately the right choice for the business longer term, but honestly, we won't really know. All we know is, they reiterated the numbers that they put out for the street for 2021 and for even 2023. That implies a nice acceleration in monthly users. That's not an easy task. So it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of quarters, 2-3 quarters, whether we start seeing that inflection that's needed for them to make those numbers. And it's only then will we say whether this appointment was the right one or not.